Deaf blindness is a condition with no useful eyesight and no useful hearing. Like deafness and blindness, the effect on hearing and sight may be moderate to profound. As it is with other disabilities, deaf blindness has also got a diversity of impairments, like those with hard of hearing, relying on lip reading services, totally blind and deaf group that depends on tactile sign language, then those with partial loss of both hearing and visual senses.
For me, I don't know. I can't walk. I first picked a phone from my dad in 2011. From that time, I've never called anyone. Then when you call, I just switch off or give a friend who is nearby.
Although this community has always suffered from exclusion during electoral processes, the situation has this time round been worsened by the COVID-19 standard operating procedures that have immensely infringed on the few modes of communication that they could have. Usually, people living with this kind of double impairment heavily rely on lip reading services, tactile sign language or close range sign language, and at times two of these.
When someone is just talking, what must be what I focus on is the lip to get something. But if I turn away, I miss a lot of words. So to that I can get like 30%. But mostly I've been helped by captions which are being written. So about when the president was talking about subs, about closing schools, I was in the library watching on YouTube with captioning, automatic captioning. This is what I got the message clearly. But when he just sits on the side away, dying at some food.
When you overshout, for example, even if they are not the speakers, it is very easy to tell you that I have not heard until it has happened. Some people come and then they just come and they whisper to your ear. It is very hard for me to hear a whisper sincerely speaking. When you come close to my ear, no, I prefer looking at you like this, right? Because when you whisper, I will be hearing that you're saying something, but I will not be comprehending the message. You get the point. So I prefer that even if it is a whisper, you would rather talk slowly. Maybe you may say that, Moses, I need your attention. That is a whisper to me. It is a whisper to me because in the process of you talking that, I'm focusing at you and I'm trying to get that information exactly from you, what you want to tell me. That is the best way you can tell me a whisper. If you come and you shout through my ear, I'll tell you sincerely that I've not heard. And I will again try to call for your attention to face me face to face. That's how I'll be able to talk. That's why I'll be able to speak.
In March 2020, Uganda registered her first case of COVID-19. This led to the introduction of standard operating procedures like social distancing, frequent hand washing, and constant wearing of a face mask. But in our quest to understand how the deaf-blind community is ensuring full observance of these SOPs, we discover rather a petrifying experience.
We'll finish sanitizing and he's going to explain. I have to explain to him I want to go to town. He should help me and guide me up to there. So that's how I have to hold him. The guide has to always be in front and the deaf-blind person is kind of close by but a little bit behind. So if some person sees this person as this before, they are prostitutes, maybe they are lovers, no. This person is my guide. He's trying to help me walk because I'm blind and I'm deaf and it's impossible to do it by myself.
It suffices to say that the deaf-blind people are the invisible victims of COVID-19 as they have been totally locked out of communication, not only with medicals, friends and relatives, but also the decisive political season.
The processes that are leading to election, that means campaigning, civic education, voter education, that is being done by either the Electoral Commission or other civil society organizations leaves out persons who are deaf or blind, because one, they are either using TVs or radios, but these people are unable to listen, to hear radios because they cannot hear, and they are also unable, for example, to read news supplements in the newspapers because they cannot read.
For instance, you do not have information access to them in large print for those who have low vision, or in braille for those who can read braille, in electronic format for those who are IT literate, and there is very little that goes on in sign language. The sign language that we have, for instance, in public, in community sensitizations or on television sets, is very selective. On television, we have, for instance, mostly identified the need for deaf people to know what is in the news. But for all the other programs, we have not thought about them. It's like they only need the news and they don't need to know about the other programs. So the same is happening with the information from the Electoral Commission and everybody else who is involved in electoral process in this country.
National Association of the Deaf Blind in Uganda, NADIP, Executive Director Yona Waswa is one such person that uses big captions. In his capacity, Waswa attests to the fact that the plight of the people living with deaf blindness is worse than the eye can fathom. During the 2020 International Day of Deaf Blindness, celebrated annually on 27th June events, NADIP dedicated the day's celebrations to advance for an inclusive electoral process.
The Electoral Commission needs to partner with us so that we can reach out to our members, disseminate the information to our members in accessible format, targeting the individual communication needs of each person. The election is supposed to be through a universal adult suffrage, meaning that every citizen of Uganda must participate in the electoral process.
We wanted to examine how the deaf-blind persons are partaking of the electoral process currently ongoing. This would lead us to some of the people living with this double impairment, and indeed, your guess is as good as mine. Jackson Muhumuza, a resident of Wandegea, is one of the many people living with deaf blindness. Muhumuza can read and write and prefers use of close-range sign language for effective communication. For Muhumuza, attending campaigns is useless since there isn't any provision for such services. During open campaigns, some groups have tried to tag along with local language and sign language interpreters, a deliberate effort to ensure effective communication of their messages. However, none of this actually addresses the need of the people living with deaf blindness.
The people that I work with in the garage always tell me that so and so, when he was campaigning, he said this and this. So that's how I get the information.
Because if I'm not getting anything, how should I feel? If I'm not getting, it's possible for me to follow. So if I have other things to do, maybe in class I can do that. I can't follow. When there's nothing, I can learn from there.
The vote for one deaf-blind person is equivalent to the value of a vote of one of the tycoons you will want to see on earth here. We are also living in a world where that is embracing leaving no one behind. So the issue for me is not the cost, but the issue is, are you reaching every voter?
Unfortunately, whereas Muhumuza would love to attend alongside his guide, police brutality represses his desire.
Anyway, me, I've never seen anyone coming here to campaign, and I can't actually go in those rallies because, you know, the police is always telling people to disperse. Yeah, so it's hard for me now to go maybe attend a rally, maybe hear what politicians are saying. Yeah.
A journey to Jinja. we met Juliet Wabukau, a deaf-blind person who, despite having some residual sight, heavily relies on tactile sign language and partially on lip reading.
Deaf-blind people need physical contact. Now the way we are seated, we are near each other, which means we are breaking the law on social distancing. Deaf-blind people, we feel somewhere, somehow, in this electoral process, some things are challenging. We see we are left out in the electoral process. We are limited in the involvement of this process of the elections because, first of all, people who are campaigning, the candidates, they don't provide for us tactile sign language interpreters. We deaf-blind people, we miss information.
We then sought to establish the extent to which the Electoral Commission has appreciated this plea. Stuart Tamale is the head of Special Interests Department at the Electoral Commission.
I'm in charge of the special interest groups in Uganda for purposes of elections, not any other purpose. When you look at the deliberations we have had with the different communities in Uganda, stakeholders, they come, they write. People with disabilities have written, activists, human rights activists, they have come up. And the Commission has given them audience. We have shared the issues, the challenges. I think we need to get data on the people with disabilities in the whole of Uganda. We need to know each section that these are deaf. There are so many, and among the deaf, we need to know how many are illiterate, how many have gone to school, and how many understand sign language interpreter, sign language itself, so that we can plan for them appropriately in the subsequent elections. We have also wished to know how many are visually impaired, those who can't see, so that we can be able to plan for their electoral needs in each parish. Because we go down to the parish level. You may tell me that Uganda Bureau of Statistics has the information. You know,
Exactly, I'm wondering.
that information which is there. Somebody with a small scar is a person with a disability. They don't have the categories. They don't have the categories. Even if you looked for blind people in the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, they will bring something with a small eye, that one is blind. Somebody who can sit outside, that one is blind.
A country like Uganda, we have generalized disability. Even when you talk about accessibility, they will tell you, there is a ramp there. You understand? You go somewhere and the place is not accessible. No, don't worry. There's a ramp there. So the perception is, once you put there a ramp, then you have settled all the problems that persons with disabilities face, which is not true.
According to the Persons with Disability Act of 2020, there are about 21 codes of disabilities, including blindness, low vision, leprosy-cured persons, hearing impairment, that is deaf and hard of hearing, locomotor's disability, dwarfism, intellectual disability, mental illness, autism spectrum disorder, cerebral palsy, muscular dystrophy, chronic neurological conditions, specific learning disability, multiple sclerosis, speech and language disability, hemophilia, sickle cell disease, multiple disability like deaf blindness, acid attack victims, albinism, and physical disability. For now, the Electoral Commission implores the deaf-blind people to restrain from sliding into apathy mode, but to rely on family and friends as they do with other social demands. Article 68, Section 1 of the Constitution of Uganda stipulates that at a public election or referendum, voting shall be by a secret ballot.
It's a challenge. I agree. It's a very serious challenge, but we still have to depend on the colleagues, our other voters, other stakeholders, to pass on the information. Because even getting a word by mouth from another person is one of the means of extending the voter education services or sensitizing people, wananchi, to participate in these elections. Every other time we are innovating, we shall find a way out of reaching our people throughout Uganda. But only that in this election it may not be possible because we have to depend on our brothers and sisters who can pick the message and then transmit it to our colleagues, the people and the visually impaired. The visually impaired, for them, the ear is working. The only problem is when we are both visually impaired and at the same time you have a hearing impairment. That's where the challenge becomes, and that's what we call deaf blind. But deaf blind, they are also they are interpreters who really do the kind of work. So still we go back to the sign language interpreter. The sign language interpreter is well sensitized, is well educated, gets the information. I think that one can deliberately convey the message to him. But as of now, we do not have a deliberate package here which is well designed for only deaf blind people. We don't have it. Right now we don't have it. But I think in the future elections we shall have to adopt it until such a time comes when we have established the actual numbers of people with disabilities who are visually impaired and they are able to read Braille. Because per parish in the country, in the absence of those numbers, we don't know. If those numbers are there, we can, as the Electoral Commission, we can easily print those ballot papers for them. Because we know in such a parish and these two polling stations, we have two blind people who use Braille, who know how to use Braille. That means you are going to bring about 2 ballot papers for those people. Presidential ballot paper or woman MP, so plus the constituency MP, so there will be 6. They use them. But in the absence of such data, you can't guess. If you start guessing, you are going to waste money. You put ballot papers at a polling station, nobody's going to use them because people are illiterate in Braille.
It is optional. You know, we are discussing human rights here. Yes. So it's optional. I can choose to vote with the assistant of my choice, or I can choose to vote using a tactile ballot. So what we are saying is, we are asking the Electoral Commission to provide a multiplicity of choices for persons who are deaf blind, to support them, to enable them vote independently. So if I choose that my independent voting will involve me using my personal assistant, well and good. If I say my independent voting will support me, I will use tactile ballot, well and good. Then we also have had instances where candidates, instead of campaigning persons who are deaf blind, they simply go and bribe the personal assistants. So for me, I will come and tell you, I want to vote candidate number 2, for example. But candidate number 4 already bribed my personal assistant. So my personal assistant will vote candidate number 4. For me, I will go home happy knowing that I have voted candidate number 2. So, to eliminate those kind of anomalies that might happen, it is important that the Electoral Commission provides us with alternatives.
I have no control over Dorcas sharing with the other people who I voted for. I am even not sure that the Dorcas ticked the person I wanted.
Sometimes if the guide is supporting someone else and the blind person is also supporting someone else, at times it can cause anger, between these two people. It's supposed to be a secret ballot.
Serada Moses, a program coordinator for Uganda Federation of the Hard of Hearing, concedes that effecting inclusivity in this year's election may be an uphill task for the duty bearers, and even then, time is not on their side. He, however, wants the Electoral Commission to take keen interest in collecting data during the exercise for future use.
I'm much I'm very much concerned about data, because it is the basis of our advocacy. And the Electoral Commission, I have the feeling that if people who are hard of hearing are motivated to participate in the elections, then they will turn up. Maybe I wanted to task the Electoral Commission to keep an eye or to monitor in terms of turnout. People who are reporting problems or difficulties in hearing and are participating in that election, how many have participated. I wanted to see that at least something of that kind is monitored. It will give them an insight in terms of number and how best they can prepare for inclusion of people who are hard of hearing. Because now we are having data which is generalized. And so it is very hard for us to make a point to them.
We tried to also to move to different countries. Sierra Leone, where it has happened, we found they had abandoned the whole idea. We moved it to TZ, there was nothing of the sort. They depend on their helpers. We moved it to Kenya, the same story. They depend on their helpers. And we wanted the South Africa, they didn't allow us to go. They did not respond to our request. So we are planning, we are in the process of planning, but we need enough data. You cannot plan without adequate information.
Aware of the infringed rights of the deaf-blind, the Equal Opportunities Commission says the solution could be in the adoption and use of what is called a tactile ballot jacket, as Julius Kamia, the Commissioner for Education and Communication, explains.
With the candidates on the left, so the number of perforations is equal to the number of candidates, and you have a dotted line linking, so that if in the voter education this was used, then the voter who needs to use the tactile ballot jacket knows that this one is the, what do you call it, the ballot paper with the candidates, and it is already done commensurate with what is on the tactile ballot jacket. So you insert your ballot paper, so you know that your candidate is number 4. Maybe that's Katumba, God knows. Katumba is corresponding with the window 4. The window 4 is what I initially called the perforation. So you put your thumb in that window and you have voted Katumba. You don't need to be literate. You do not need to have sight. You just need to have your ballot paper inserted properly. Something could hold it if you want, maybe some adhesive, and then so that it doesn't move. And that's how we have advocated. We have made this demonstration to the Electoral Commission. We are hoping that they can make a response, but they were thinking that the proposal was late. We have demonstrated to them that it is not even an expensive venture. At every polling station, as an example, at every polling station, in the case of national elections, you need 3 tactile ballot jackets. 1 for the presidential candidates, 1 for the constituency MP, and 1 for the woman MP of the district. So everybody who comes to vote and needs the tactile ballot jacket will come and use it, because you only need to come with your ballot paper, insert, do what is necessary as I have demonstrated, remove it, fold, place in the what, and leave the tactile ballot jacket there for another person to use.
These rig trucks and the double-decker buses to traverse the country to go and disseminate information.
For this 2021 election, the Electoral Commission sent out mobile buses carrying around information about the elections.
Will enable the Commission to reach out to the public simultaneously in the regions, districts, cities, municipalities, towns, trading centers, marketplaces, landing sites, industrial areas, stock parks, and built-up areas since a number of trucks and buses have been hired.
But this has also been found inadequate as it falls short of the communication modes of people living with deaf blindness.
Atingazi bwabanga waliwo ba chetuulidde nga kita kukububa na ba campaign olumu omuyita n'ogamba jangu olabeko n'asembera kumpi at least afuneko ekifaananyi eky'omuntu ayita olumu n'abiginola nga fula batagenda bitegeera. So olumu nga waliwo ba ku TV nga waliwo ayogera oba President Museveni oba Kyagulanyi n'asembera amaaso n'agateeka ku screen n'afunamu kali some idea akatono ennyo. Yeah, basically olumu baleeta posters buno bwe bakozesa obwo kati n'ojja n'okamuleeta n'asembeza wonna.
With this glaring fact, it is a mixed feeling as some of these people are yet to tell whether or not they will cast their votes well come 14th January 2021 and after.
Me, I'm requesting the Electoral Commission to remember persons with visual impairment. Yeah? Maybe to get us maybe a specific attire that we can use so that they give us special consideration on that day. Because at times people can't, when someone looks at me, they can't know whether I'm blind or I'm deaf because my eyes look open, my ears, you can't tell. So I think EC would have given us a special identification.
The Electoral Commission should tell police to respect people who go for voting. Even the masks. Even we are requesting the Electoral Commission, they can avail us with transparent masks to everyone. I'll accept, and then we move with guides or sign language interpreters. And that means we have to pick the ones we trust, and then they tick what we want. If they accept, then we go. If there is somebody I'm going with who will accept to do what I want, I will vote. But if not, I will not.
If there's no hospitality, if someone annoys me, I used to play football, but they annoyed me. I went away. Maybe I was with boss. So if there's no if there's no information, for me when I go to the market and I meet someone, I want this place to repeat and it refuses to repeat, I'm on the next person. Because there's nothing between point and there.
In 2008, Uganda was one of the first countries to ratify the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Available statistics indicate that Uganda has a population of about 47 million people with an estimated 14,000 persons living with deaf blindness and an overall 4.5 million living with a disability. While persons with disabilities have rights as established in the Constitution and other laws, most of these rights have never been executed, meaning that persons with disabilities remain disappropriately represented among the poorest of the poor and at constant risk of rights abuses.
In the upcoming general elections, 17,658,527 people are expected to vote, representing 39% of the whole population. However, it is not clear how many of these fall under the deaf-blindness category. Dorcas Kimono, UBC.
Aaron?
Yes, ma'am.
Your online classes are about to start. Do you have your writing materials ready? Do you have your notebook ready, your sharpener, your rubber, your ruler? We need to put off things that might distract you during the lesson so that you pay attention to the teacher. By the way, this is your new classroom environment. The teacher will be bringing you lesson online. Respect them.